The first book that I really wanted to share with you is Patrick Kingsley, The New Odyssey. I rave about this book in my Instagram recently, and I say that it's one of the best non-fiction that I've ever read. Patrick Kingsley, The New Odyssey, is talking about the story of Europe's refugees crisis. So at the start of the book, we actually get to learn about how refugees come through into Europe. So there are two main routes that refugee comes into Europe. This book is not boring because it actually follows a real person, a real refugee who's trying to seek asylum in Germany. The remarkable thing about this book is that Patrick actually goes and look at this route. He actually went into Libya, goes around the coast of Libya to see how the refugee actually travels through across the Mediterranean Ocean, by boat, by a few different kind of boats. And he actually spoke to the smugglers there as well. You learn so much from this book and develop so much compassion for the refugees. I remember there was this part when the refugee was being asked, why do you actually want to cross when you know the risk of failure is so high and the risk of death is so high? The refugee actually told Patrick Kingsley, the author of the book, saying that because the risk of being on land is more than the risk of being in the sea. As we go into the second part of this book, we also learned about how Europe responds to this refugee crisis. And sadly, very unfortunately, Europe as a whole doesn't really have a very good response towards the refugee, or they are not very compassionate towards their predicament, because a lot of the brunt of refugee is being borne by Italy and Greece because they are nearest to Libya and they're nearest to Turkey. So when they ask other countries in Europe to help out, other countries in Europe actually don't really care, or they just do actions that seems like a little plaster on a huge wound. For one example, Britain actually donate a huge sum of money to a refugee camp instead of absorbing the refugee to allow them to come to stay in UK and get integrated into UK society. EU as a whole actually pay Turkey a lot of money so that they can and have better border control, which means they do not want the refugee to come over. I really encourage you to pick it up, especially if you are living in Europe and you see a lot of refugees around your area. I think this book has really opened up my heart for refugees around my area after understanding their plight. The first book that I really wanted to share with you is